set.
Okay, we'll get started with this work session, and the purpose is to discuss the LoSAP program and how the village board wants to handle it. And I do apologize for missing the last meeting. When you have a 90-year-old dad, sometimes it gets more and more inconvenient as the days go on. But so, Mike, do you want to give us an idea as to what they're looking for, or what steps we're going to need to take in order to get this up for a referendum?
Well, I wasn't at the work session either, but I believe there was 3 different options. One was to increase the number of years that they could earn credit from 30 to 40 years. Another option was to lower the entitlement age to when they can start earning benefits from 65 to 62. And then the third option was to do both.
Okay.
So I believe they reviewed the financial impact of that at a work session with the LoSAP committee from the fire department.
Okay.
And then the process for the referendum, I think, was provided by the village attorney. I don't want to speak to that and misspeak, but I believe it was, you would have to make a resolution to state what you want to go out for a referendum for, and you have to have then a election or a vote at least 10 days after that resolution, no later than 60 days. And the attorney could correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry, because I don't have any of these numbers. John, were you able to take some notes or anything?
Not that I took notes, but Mike had sent them to us July 16th.
Okay, I
It
may
was
have
an
missed
email
that.
from Mike to you, well, maybe to all of us. The breakdown of, the 3 choices that Mike just gave. Option 1, increasing it to 40 years, is estimated at a 0.84% tax increase. Option 2 only would be to reduce the entitlement age from 62 to 65, which would be a 0.48% estimated tax increase. And option 3 would be both, increase it to 40 years and reduce the age to 62, which is an estimated 1.37% tax rate increase. And the estimate on that for $200,000 house would be $20.92.
Honestly, I don't think that that's a whole lot of money to pay for what they're getting. Again, just my opinion, and I do want to make it known that I do not belong to the retirement program. I never did. So, I can speak a little bit more freely than maybe somebody who had been in the fire department. But I can tell you that our firefighters do put an awful lot of time in between fire calls, emergencies, and then just look at what they put in on the 4th of July alone. I mean, they're here from morning till night and well after the fireworks. It's not up to the board to approve the referendum. It's just to put it up there, and it would be up to the taxpayers to decide if they want to pay for this. And when I spoke to Greg Smith, I said it's really going to be on the backs of the firemen to promote this and try to make it happen. And they have numbers, and they're the ones that are going to benefit. I think they'll pay for the mailings, anything that they want to do. It would really be up to the board to decide if they want to go forward and put this up for a referendum. I believe the fire department wanted a separate vote, but that's going to take, what, $2,000, something like that, to hold a separate vote?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the timing, right? I mean, if it has, the material that was provided, like, there's kind of a contradiction. Like, for county elections, it states that you have to provide them with the language of any referendum at least 90 days before the election so that they have time for early voting and all of that. But according to the guidelines, you have to have a vote between 10 and 60 days after you approve to have a vote. So they don't really work well together. So if the village had to hold its own election for its own referendum vote, I mean, it really would come down to timing. For example, if you approved it, we don't have a resolution for tonight, but if you did and you approved it, you would have to have an election between September 18th and November 8th, and that might be confusing to residents because you got the general election right on November 4th or around.
Yeah, I think it's the 4th.
So that would be confusing, like, why are we having two separate elections? That might just be confusing to them. I do know that if you were going to consider a village election, village residents are used to elections in March. So that might be something you want to consider timing it for that. But again, that's at your discretion.
Now, I think their goal was to try to get this done prior to the end of this year, calendar year. I don't know,
Yeah, I wasn't clear why that deadline, did you get a sense of why?
I think so would kick in next year. So that, I don't know if these benefits only go from year to year. So I think from what he said, Greg said was that if it's done this year, I think the benefits would begin in January.
Yes.
The increased benefits.
to the best of my knowledge, yeah, that when
The change.
I spoke to them, so that's why they're looking to do this sooner rather than later. In my opinion, if they had it on a general election day, I mean, people are coming to the polls anyway, and if they're not, well, that's it, but it's an election day, we got to be open here for elections, so.
Yeah, I just don't know if logistically it's possible if the county could do it. I thought the guidance provided from NICOM said that it had to be at least 90 days. Like I said, there's a contradiction there, unless the county's willing to still do it, despite whatever regulations there might be.
And it would be,
I haven't talked to the county about it.
okay. We could look into that tomorrow.
Yeah, because what's the 90 days? Because I've heard.
It was in the NICOM guidance. If you read through it, it states that in order for the county to put a referendum on the ballot, you need to advise them at least 90 days of what the language of the referendum would be, with the idea that, they need to get the ballots prepared and mailed out to absentee or, the absentee voters, military voters, permanently confined voters, as well as prepare for early voting. So you can't give them a language 90 days ahead because you can't approve it more than 60 days ahead per the.
What if we just had a village election? Wouldn't you do all of that, the absentee ballots and stuff like that?
Yeah, with the county's guidance, that would be the confusion if you had them both in November. Residents, voters are going to be like, wait, why am I going to two different elections? Not only that, if you held it on the same day, they're going to be going to two different places because we have elections here and they don't. So that would be the logistically difficult part of having it right around the same time as the November general election. You'd probably have a lot of confusion among voters. You'd have to almost look at December and then really make sure that everyone's made aware of it. I don't know how much of an output you're going to have in the middle of December, the holiday season, but it's an option.
Yeah, I think it would be a struggle to get this in before the end of the year, which is why I asked Greg about it. And I think, as far as turnout goes, like March would probably be the best because people, like Mike said, people are used to voting in the village in March. And we're even I even suggested during the work session, waiting until the next village election. Because then you're guaranteed to have people coming to the polls to vote and put it like, my concern is that if it goes out on a random day or a random year, you're just gonna have a handful of people that show up, and, because they just don't know about it.
Well, that would be up to the fire department. If I were involved in the fire department to that extent, I would have to think that they're gonna do some kind of mailing or something like that. They're the ones that are gonna be responsible to get the vote out.
Yeah.
We just have to set it. And, after that, we wash our hands of it, and, it's up to them to publicize it, and, other than what we have to do, in any other election.
Yeah.
So,
I think one thing we'd have to discuss is which level we wanted to, because you're not gonna have a choice on the ballot.
Right.
It's just yes or no. And something we could talk about. I know they wanted study 3, like the most. I look at the email that Mike sent out that had the top paragraph talked about all the expenses we have coming up, like the fire truck, the match for the TAP grant, just general operating expenses are going up, in the village, like insurance is going, so we're looking at tax increases already. We could put this off till next year, probably there's a decent chance taxes will have to go up just to offset some of these costs. Anyway, Are we just adding more and more and more onto it? Because, yeah, $20 doesn't seem too bad, but when you're increasing a percentage point here and there for other things too, then it just, it gets scary, you know, as a resident, to see your taxes go up that much all at once.
Good point. Any other comments?
No, I think anytime you can have a vote during a regular general election is better because you want more people to come out, you want more input. I don't think you just want, if there's a vote going out and it's just for the firemen, I don't think a lot of people, I mean, it's hard to get people to come out and vote anyway. You know, you kind of push for people to come out during a general election and, I mean, at that point, I just question if it's only gonna be the firefighters coming out, so what would really be the point? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? I just think that people, you want as many voters coming out to vote on something that has to do with taxes as possible. So I know it's not, what, a year and a half away for our next one? When is the next village election?
Would be,
Yeah, March 27th.
I mean, that's just, I don't know how long they've been asking for this, but,
They've been pushing this for quite a while.
yeah, so, and I'm just saying, that's just my opinion, though. I think when it comes to taxpayers, you can send a mailer out. I mean, I know personally, I use those to sweep up the dust on the floor, and I don't even look at them. So I just get, it's just I'm a taxpayer type of person that always thinks that as many people as possible should know. And are they even allowed to pay for that mailer? What would-
Yeah, I don't think that's in the,
Okay.
I talked to Hometown and they said as long as any information that's being sent out is being sent out village-wide to all
Yeah.
residents, that's fine. Like a door-to-door campaign
Mm-hmm.
might be more difficult because you can't ensure that every resident is getting the same information.
Right.
But in terms of a mailer, as long as it's being mailed to all of the registered voters in the village, then
Well,
that
why
should be fine.
couldn't they? I mean, so what they mail would not be an official village mailing, it would be from the fire department, right?
Similar to what they do for their fund drive, it would probably,
Right.
they'd
So they
probably
could
do
do
the
it
same
as
way.
long as they're mailing it to everyone.
Right.
In
And
the-
they
But
would.
why? I mean, if someone's running for office, if we run for office, we don't have to mail it to everyone, we can mail it to whomever we want. So why would they be held to a different
I
standard?
don't know of the differentiation, I mean, that's a political campaign versus a
Raising of taxes,
department benefit. And it,
I'm thinking.
yeah, that was the feedback that I got from Hometown, is that any information that's sent out should be sent out
I would like
village-wide.
to see their authority on it. I really would.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe it's just their guidance,
The village
right?
has an obligation to notify everybody in the village. okay? And beyond that, what the fire department does is up to them. That's my take on it. Even if it is a door-to-door hanger. So if Hometown has that opinion, I'd like to know where it's
Yeah,
from.
I mean, maybe because this is a department of the village versus like if it was a company doing it, that's their own 501c3 nonprofits, but as a department of the
Yeah,
village,
fair
it's
enough.
still coming from the village of Lancaster as a department. It would be no different than the DPW sending out a mailer. It's still a village department. But I
they're
can
not
ask that
usurping
question.
the village's authority to publicize the election. The village has to do that, and the village can't delegate to the fire department, you do it for us. So I would just like to see the authority of the
I
village.
think what the mayor was suggesting was that we would send the mailer out notifying the residents of the village
Yeah.
election, but that the fire department would be willing to pay for that, to cover the cost. of
No,
it.
no.
Because I think they're gonna wanna send out a mailer that will be different than just a notification. They're gonna-
Right.
I imagine that they're gonna wanna send out a campaign type. This is why you should vote yes to the proposition mailing. And I don't think we could stop them or tell them who to mail it to.
And
Yeah, that would-
the village, when it passes that resolution, it buys the obligation to have this referendum and all obligations that come with it, including the obligation to notify the public. They can't say, we're gonna make this resolution, but on the other hand, you pay the expense of the referendum that is rolled into this process. Can't do it. They've gotta pay for everything. Notice has to go out. Now, I'm not saying that notice has to be a mailing. I don't think you don't mail all residents a notice of a village.
No, I think that was the request the fire department was asking.
Well, they can do it, but not at the village expense.
Right.
And the village only has to do what it does when they have an election.
Correct. And I mean, again, I can't speak for them, but I would have to think that they would get right behind that and they would come up with some sort of informative brochure, letter, whatever it would be, and that they would do that. I mean, they want this and they know they need to get the word out, and I think it would be a small expense to them in comparison to the benefits that the members would be able to get.
So if they send out the mailer, we are still responsible to do an additional step and notify all the residents?
Well, we just do that by putting out public notice, like
Okay.
in the Lancaster Bee, on our website, social media, on the bulletin board, that's all we do.
So the bottom line is it comes up to the voters and, you know, no matter when the election is or whatever, it's up to them. If they approve it, then that would be included in, I would imagine, the following year's budget. And, you know, we'll go on from there. And this is how this all started to begin with, because it had to be voted in by the taxpayers to begin with. So this is just expanding on the program that they already have. And they are, to the best of my knowledge, within the Lancaster Fire Council, the only ones that are at that lowest level. All, Depew and Town Line, Intern District and so forth are all at the $800 a month, and they can collect a little bit earlier. So, and, you know, I think they're more than deserving of it. And as a taxpayer, I'll vote for it, but again, we need to get this on the referendum, and that would be up to the board.
I mean, I have no issue with what they're asking for. I just want as many voters as possible to come out and vote who it affects, taxpayer-wise, but that's just my opinion. I understand what you're saying, they've waited a long time. I get nervous when things are done. I don't want to say special, because, I mean, they are sending out the mailers, but I just,
Well, it has been, so when I came on the board, it was April 2023, it was in my committee. I know it had been in that committee for quite a while beforehand. And the first thing that Mike and I did together was to shop around and look for a different provider, which is how we wind up with Hometown. That took a while. The intent was next to get to where we are right now. So that was, 2.5 years ago. And it had already been something that, at least in the firefighters' minds, and probably rightfully so, had been going on too long, 2.5 years ago. So I do think we shouldn't, I 100% agree, Gavin, that doing it this year seems to be not doable. Making them wait till the next village election, though, is another 1.5 years. I think that gets to be a little, perhaps a little unfair. And if I was to, knowing what, and I did the research back then to see what the other fire companies were paying nearby, and we're the only ones who are still at where we are with the 600 cap and 65. Depew, when they redid it, I'm pretty sure they did it to $1,000 a month cap, which in reality doesn't make much of a difference, because that's only if you do 50 years, and I'm not sure how many firefighters go up to 50 years, but I don't think it should be put off for another 1.5 years out of fairness.
I do like the idea, though, of a month when they're used to going out to vote.
Yeah,
at least. I mean,
absolutely.
I think in March, I mean, if whatever the board settles on is what the fire department will have to accept. And, you know, I mean, it may not be they'll get everything that they want when they want it, but if the board's comfortable with that, we'd like to try to put a motion through tonight to at least set that so that they can move forward.
I don't think you could do.
Well, we don't- we
I
think
don't
we
think we have the
don't have
language
time.
of the resolution, but also it has to be timed so that the vote happens 10 and 60 days after the resolution. So if you know what date you're looking for the election, you could kind of work back and make sure you do that resolution at the right time. It would also give you time to kind of prepare everything in advance.
Do we have to make sure it's not this 90-day thing that you're talking about as well? Does it
No,
have?
that's for notifying the county when you want them to hold the vote for you on their
So if we
election.
wanted it as part of the general election, we would have to have 90 days notice.
So you're looking at,
Okay.
you're suggesting March then?
Yeah, the third Tuesday in March is
So we'd
usually.
probably be looking at a resolution in January, right?
Yeah, so it would be, the election would be tentatively set for March 17th.
I think it might be the 18th. In the past, they've typically not held the election on St. Patrick's Day,
Okay?
but we'd have to confirm that. I think they usually move it to Wednesday if it's on St. Patrick's Day, but we can confirm that for sure with
Sure.
NICOM.
Do we know what meeting in January we'd have to schedule it then? Because we can make a motion to table it till that meeting, can't we?
Probably the January 26th meeting.
Or do you want me to make a motion to table it until that meeting, and then we can bring it back up and,
Sure, that would be fine.
you said 26?
Yeah.
Make a motion to,
Doing my math right.
to table the LoSAP discussion until the second village board meeting in January 26th.
All right, motion by trustee O'Brien,
Second.
and second by trustee Miller. Under the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. Very good, thank you. And again, I know I sent out quite a lengthy email with just my feelings about it, but, I was in the fire department for a good many years and served as a past chief, and I know what they do. And it's a little bit more difficult today because they got a lot less people to do it with, so our department is well deserving of the opportunity to have the voters approve this. Okay, and the rest of our work session would not start until 6 unless, take a break.
Motion to adjourn? Make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, it's like your mom.
I'm sorry.
A motion by
Second.
the work session, second by trustee Miller. Under the question, favor?
Aye.